Welcome to Studio 5. A C.S. Lewis story comes to the stage. One boy's compassion for the homeless turns into a thriving nonprofit organization and now a big screen film. And a pivotal figure from the Harlem Renaissance has her story shared in an eye-opening documentary. We'll give you all these stories today, and we are counting down this week's top 5 headlines in the world of uplifting entertainment. Here are the first 2. At number 5.
I'm not like other guys.
It's the King of Pop story getting ready for the screen with a little family help.
The upcoming Michael Jackson movie has found its King of Pop. Jafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew, will play his uncle in the upcoming biopic titled Michael. The 26-year-old Jafar is Jermaine Jackson's son and a singer who put out a single in 2019. Jafar posted a pic of himself on social media practicing Michael's dance moves, writing that he's humbled and honored to be bringing his uncle's story to life.
At number 4.
What is stirring in your hearts in the middle of such division and unrest is Father God being revealed to you.
Behind the scenes with big news from The Chosen this week.
The final 2 episodes of Season 3 will premiere in theaters nationwide. So many people wanted tickets, they crashed the Ticketmaster website after the series creators made the announcement.
They're playing in theaters Thursday and Friday.
Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
Without the food. They're out of food.
Can you bring me anything?
5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
C.S. Lewis's best-selling book, The Horse and His Boy, is now a stage production playing at the Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater in Washington, D.C. It's a Logos Theater production, and Studio 5 traveled to the theater for a preview.
There was only one lion.
How do you know?
I was the lion.
Let's begin with this particular C.S. Lewis story, and for it to be a stage production. How would you describe it?
It's an absolute adventure. They're going to go on a wild ride.
To Narnia and the North.
It's a whole production following their stories, watching their journey. So as they're telling their stories, sometimes their story comes around them and flows and moves. So you really are never still.
Oh, wow.
We take them on an epic journey to see 2 children really find their purpose, who they are.
You play, Lily, you
Aravis.
play Aravis.
Aravis Tarkina in The Horse and His Boy. Aravis is this very stuck-up, kind of courageous girl who goes through these adventures in Narnia with her friend Shasta. They meet kind of towards the beginning of the play, and then there's a lot of banter that goes back and forth between them, so it's very fun before they end up with Aslan in Narnia. She's a character who is longing for something greater and longing for a purpose, which she finds later in the book in Aslan.
I'm the most unluckiest boy in the whole world.
Where have you taken my son?
Brenton, what's your role in this play?
I play Shasta, and he doesn't really think much of himself. He doesn't know what his calling is or anything like that until he meets a talking horse, and then he goes on a journey and meets another talking horse and a girl, and then he tries to get to Narnia, and he eventually makes it, finds out he's a prince.
His horse, that's a Tarkan under the edge of the wood.
What's it like to be on stage with these massive puppets?
It's amazing. It's very fun.
What's it like for you to bring his productions to stage?
When we first started Narnia, obviously you have to think about the lion. How will you do the lion? For me, it really needed to be something that could be symbolic and representative. So it's not like I've tried to give you an exactly real lion, but giving him enough presence. So that was our first, I guess, challenge, is to how do we do Aslan?
Justin, you're the puppet master. You create all that we're seeing on stage?
With help, yeah. I'm the spearheader.
Talking through all the different functions of what it needs to do.
Tell me about the puppets we are seeing on stage in this production.
Our horses are very, very lifelike, very realistic, because the type of story that we're trying to tell, we want people to be really engaged and connected to these puppets, because they each have an arc and a story of their own that we want people to learn and grow with.
Along with that comes all the different challenges. You have a man who turns into a donkey. You have a cat. You've got a raven that speaks. So there's several other puppetry and tricks that we're doing to kind of bring these books to life.
Well, it was bad luck to meet so many lions anyhow.
And then we'll meet some trees, walking trees, because it's fantasy, it's Narnia. Why not throw some walking trees in there?
I do not call you unfortunate.
Where would you say this story fits in the C.S. Lewis catalog?
It's this really neat glimpse that Lewis gives us of the golden years in Narnia, when the High King Peter and Edmund and Susan and Lucy were ruling and reigning. So we don't get a lot of that in the other Narnia books. It may not be as well known for many people, but once they read The Horse and His Boy, I think it quickly becomes one of their favorites. The Narnia books bring a burden, and it's not a bad burden, but it's a burden of excellence. And it's also a burden because what a legacy. What a legacy that Lewis has given us. But it's a blessing at the same time because these books were written to bless people, to challenge people, to help people, to meet them in their need and take them to a conclusion that would be hope-filled.
Even when you feel like there is no hope, you can find hope in Aslan, who is representative of God.
The Horse and His Boy is playing now at the Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and it runs through March 3rd.
Still to come.
There are over 5,000 homeless souls in this city alone. So it is Philip's wish to reach each and every one of them with a comforting gesture, a blanket. You're a celebrity.
It's a Studio 5 first look at 5,000 blankets.
How are you feeling with your story being shared with the world now on a new platform?
Through the eyes of the woman who lived the story.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
At number 3.
Hey God, I'm an actress. He won't always on my mind.
Singer and actress from This Is Us fame, Chrissy Metz, adds another title to her resume.
We have written our very first ever picture book.
It's called When I Talk to God, I Talk About You, and there's the journey to the dream of raising a child and watching them grow up right before your eyes, while supporting their unique path with love, kindness, and a gentle introduction to prayer.
That's right. And of course, included in When I Talk to God, I Talk About You are the beautiful illustrations by none other than Lisa Fields, who we are just elated to have worked with. So we hope that you love them as much as we do.
Their debut children's book is scheduled for release February 14th.
Through whatever you go through, I'm standing with you.
At number 2.
I'm so proud of our group. I thank God every day that I get to play this game at the highest level.
Steph Curry's basketball story is now a movie.
And then right next to him, right here for me.
And it made its premiere here at Sundance Film Festival. To a standing ovation ahead of its release on Apple TV, with Black Panther director Ryan Coogler in the producer's seat.
Underrated is about, one of the most famous athletes on the planet, somebody who really transcended the sport that he plays, the game of basketball, and in many ways has changed it. But it's about the little known stories that led to his rise and how he had to overcome a lot of obstacles in order to get there.
The film 5,000 Blankets is being called a moving, inspiring drama about a woman and her son who start a movement that inspires a city. That woman is Cyndi Bunch, and her story is also a faith-filled journey coming face to face with mental health. We had the chance to chat with Cyndi about her life and seeing it play out now on the big screen.
He's here, guys. He's here.
What your mom got up her sleeve?
Nothing.
Sure he's here.
Yeah, I think so.
He should be here any minute.
Oh, surprise! A few years back, we all head up to Great Bear Lake in Canada for a nice little guys camping, fishing.
Are you all right? It's happening again, isn't it?
It's fine.
He said he'd be here. I'm sure there was an emergency at work or something. I'll be right there.
Take us back to the story for people who may be hearing it for the very first time. What happened?
Well, actually, we were living the suburban life as a family, and my husband was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
He's been doing really good for a really long time. I called Dr. Bartley, and we're seeing him first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll just take it from there. Bobby!
And he would often start disappearing, and he would be gone for days at a time. So Philip and I would go looking for him. Philip's my son.
My husband is not well. I know you miss him very much, and I know that wherever he is, he misses you. Can't help that he's sick.
I remember going home. It was in December, and we had just left the homeless district, and we had gotten home, and I was tucking him into bed, and he asked me a question. He just said, "Mommy, are you warm?" And I didn't think much about it. I just said, "Yeah, baby, I'm warm." And he says, "Well, do you think my daddy's warm?" I just said, "Yeah, I think daddy's warm." And then he asked the ultimate question. "Mommy, well, what about all those other people that are out there living in the tents?" I said, "No, baby, I don't think they're warm." And he says to me, "Well, we need to get lots and lots of blankets so we can warm them all up."
Are you hungry?
What do you think? There's a lot of holes to hide in this city.
The lady that I met tonight, I gave her your blanket.
It went on and on and on, and finally I said, okay, God is speaking to me through this little boy, and I've got to be obedient and listen to what he's trying to say.
We didn't ask for any of this, but we get to choose how we react to it. Grandma!
There's strength to be found in others in their faith. It can help you find purpose.
And what's it like to see yourself in an actress on the big screen?
When I met the cast and crew, they were off. It was like a God thing. It was like there was no bumps, no hurdles. Everything just flowed, and it was just beautiful. And I didn't think anybody could pull off a Cyndi. There's just no way. And she did. It was crazy. I'm telling you, it was a God thing. God had his hands all over this motion picture.
There are over 5,000 homeless souls in this city alone. So it is Philip's wish to reach each and every one of them with a comforting gesture, a blanket.
What's your prayer for this project?
I think they should show it in schools so that children, little children, can go home and teach their parents about love and compassion, because it starts with the little child.
You're a celebrity. Whoa.
You know, if we would just, listen to our children more and not talk so much and listen to what they're saying, we actually learn a lot.
I wish we could give them all blankets.
I know for myself, I found my greatest passion through my greatest pain.
I thought it would be good for folks to meet some of the people we're trying to help. Will we ever find him? I believe we will.
I think everybody just kind of needs to have a little more faith, lean on God, and he'll get you through. I know if it wasn't for my hope and my faith, I would have never, ever made it through the things I've made it through.
We have to believe we can make a change, no matter how small. If you stop believing in that, you stop living.
5,000 Blankets is streaming now on PureFlix, and Philip's Wish is a real and active nonprofit serving homeless people today. You can visit philipswish.com to see how easy it is for you to help volunteers do this great work. It is time now for a story in pictures. Here's this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
We pause to remember and celebrate Cyndi Williams, the actress best known for her fun-filled character Shirley Feeney on the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley, playing opposite Penny Marshall. Williams also starred opposite Ron Howard in the classic 1973 film American Graffiti. Howard remembered Cyndi loved her work and her art and gave it everything she had, and she also always found her way to put her stamp on what she was doing. She died this week at age 75, and this look back at her work is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to Studio 5. February is Black History Month, and today we're sharing a Studio 5 look at a key figure of the Harlem Renaissance featured in the new documentary Zora Neal Hurston, Claiming a Space. It offers an extensive look inside the life of the anthropologist and author. The film's director, Tracy Heather Strain, takes us inside the work.
On American Experience, an influential author whose groundbreaking anthropological work would reclaim, honor, and celebrate Black life on its own terms.
She was an innovator, but the content is rooted in the research that she did. It was anthropology that really showed Hurston that she could write about her culture.
Tracy, what gave birth to this idea of a Zora Neal Hurston documentary now?
American Experience approached me and asked me if I wanted to make a film for them about Zora Neal Hurston, and of course I said yes. I was honored because frankly, I did not know a lot about Zora Neal Hurston. Of course I knew who she was and I revered her in a certain way, but I was delighted to have this opportunity to dive in, and which is what we did.
In diving in, what would you say the biggest surprise you uncovered about her life?
The biggest surprise for me about Zora Neal Hurston's life is how difficult it was, but how tenacious and resourceful she was. She, at the age of 13, was pretty much on her own after the death of her mother.
When Hurston was 13, her beloved mother became ill and died.
That hour began my wanderings. Mama died at sundown and changed the world.
That was devastating for the young Zora.
She's quite an impressive person, I think. And so that was surprising. I just hadn't realized how much she had to do on her own.
How difficult was it for her to navigate being an anthropologist and a woman at that time?
It was difficult for everyone who wasn't white.
My ultimate purpose as a student is to increase the general knowledge concerning my people, to advance science and the musical arts among my people, but in the Negro way and away from the white man's way.
The Negro way means in a way that is respectful, that is set on debunking Black inferiority.
Now, this film is called Zora Neal Hurston, Claiming a Space. What's the story behind that title, especially Claiming a Space?
Zora's trying to claim a space in anthropology, a space so that she can study Black people. And so she was trying to claim a space to tell Black stories from her point of view, as opposed to telling Black stories and explaining Black culture from a white point of view.
How did you guys go about capturing that footage of Zora actually inside the film, as well as footage that she shot herself?
So there is footage of Zora Neal Hurston at the Library of Congress, and you see Zora Neal Hurston playing the drums in the Commandment Keeper Church, and she looks totally at home. She's a daughter of a preacher, and you can see her along the shores where they had just had a baptism or were about to have a baptism. I'm not sure the order of it. And so it was so wonderful to be able to see that. And I thought, we have to start the film, with this.
Religion and education were highly valued in a home ruled by her preacher father.
Her father was very domineering, and Zora had her own ideas. She said, no, I'm going to do it this way. I see it this way. And it would drive her father bananas.
How important do you think faith was to Zora's work and life?
What I know about Zora Neal Hurston's connection to faith is that it was important in the sense that her father was a preacher and she grew up in the church. And it's been reported in the research that we've uncovered that in Harlem, when she lived in Harlem, she would attend church service periodically. She always felt the church was important in terms of culture, Black culture. And so if you look at her writings and her ethnographic research, the church is a big part of that.
I don't think there's any argument that Zora Neal Hurston didn't get the credit she deserved during her day. Do you think she gets the credit she deserves today?
I think Zora Neal Hurston is starting to get the credit that she deserves. But this film is for everybody, and I'm hoping that people will appreciate that she's just not a literary figure, but she's an important social scientist.
Zora Neal Hurston, Claiming a Space, is streaming now on PBS platforms. With that, we have made it to the final story in this week's Top 5 Countdown. Here's this week's #1 uplifting entertainment story.
At #1. Counting down to Sunday's Grammy Awards, where artists like Doe are up for 3 awards, including Best Gospel Album. Let's talk about Clarity, your solo project. How long was it to give birth to this?
There's some songs on there that are like 8 years old. Yeah, Brighter's the oldest child on the album.
Oh, it's a little light of mine. God, you keep it burning brighter.
Here's a quick look at some of the other artists nominated for Christian music, which includes
Let me tell you about my Jesus.
Ann Wilson, up for her very first Grammy for Best Contemporary Christian Music Album. You were not even thinking of a career in singing?
Not at all.
What were you thinking to do?
I wanted to be an astronaut and work for NASA. I just had this really deep love for space.
He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can't save. Let me tell you about my Jesus.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in $1?
There are 20 nickels in $1.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
We love music here in Studio 5, and this week's soundtrack comes from Torrin Wells and Elevation Worship. Take a listen, and you'll hear why Joy in the Morning is what's playing in my ear this week. If it's not good, then it's not done. No, he is not done with it yet. There will be joy in the morning. Great lyrics from the pages of Scripture. On that musical note, we are just about out of time for today's edition of Studio 5. So let's take a quick look ahead to see what's coming up next week.
If you said you'll perform, it may not be how I want you to. But here's what I'll do. I'm gonna wait on you.
Life lessons behind the lyric.
We're sharing incredible stories from incredible guests. Recording artist Dante Bowe, rock band leader David Zach, filmmaker Phil Stevens, and singer Katie Nicole. These creatives are living proof God is faithful and He is in your life story. No matter how hard it is, how long it's taking, or what people think, God has the final say and the final word.
While I'm waiting, I'll be praising. While I'm waiting, I'll be praising.
We hope you'll join us for that story and so much more come next week. Before we say goodbye today, though, we have time for just one more thing, a final word. And we're giving that to the cast and creators of the stage play at the Museum of the Bible in our nation's capital. Let's return to The Horse and His Boy. What has C.S. Lewis meant to you?
C.S. Lewis, I have a very wild ride of a testimony, as it were, in my personal journey of faith. But I had a mother that loved me very much in spite of all my mistakes. And when I was a wee chap, she would actually read us the Narnia stories. So I had, this foundation, and it was just really neat to come full circle to, I got into a lot of trouble. And after coming out of all that is when I found this theater group and this ministry called the Academy of Arts and the Logos Theater, and I wanted in. And then to see it all come full circle back to these stories that I grew up knowing and loving, and being told that there's more to these than just what you're seeing, to now to get that, to see that, apply it to my life, and now to get to bring those to life. That is a gift that Lewis has given me, and I can't wait to see him on the other side and thank him for that.
I like that. That's a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.